At the same time as you hear the distinctive buzz of lightsabers setting off, the legendary soundtrack composed by John Williams comes to life. Heroes like as Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader engage in a spectacular show of force-powered anger as blaster bolts fly across the screen in an attempt to gain control of the situation to the greatest extent possible. Does this scenario evoke a memory deep inside you? A desire to return to the original Star Wars Battlefront experience of massive galactic warfare? If so, then you are in luck. Still, soldier, don't let go. Is the new Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection a faithful recreation, destined to reignite the spark of those unforgettable battles? Or is it a messy skirmish on the front lines of nostalgia, filled with bugs and glitches that threaten to shatter your fond memories? Before you blast off into a campaign to relive those glory days, you should ask yourself whether the game is a faithful recreation. Over 20 years after its initial release, Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2 have been brought back to life in the form of the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection, which is a remastered version of the game that is compatible with modern systems. In light of the fact that Asper's recent remastering of Tomb Raider 1-3 has been met with a certain degree of success, it is logical to anticipate that the process will be replicated with another beloved older series. Not only does the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection allow players to experience decades of nostalgia, but it also achieves a great deal more than that. The much-anticipated 64-player online lobbies have been one of the most important selling points for the collection over the last several years. In a very short amount of time, it becomes very clear that these games were never designed to reach such a significant level of success. Given that Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection has an extremely large download size that is comparable to that of big Japanese role-playing games, JRPGs, with scarcely visible graphic improvements, it is important to assess whether or not players would be better off sticking with recent Battlefront titles. Those who haven't had the opportunity to play these games in 20 years will discover that the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection is a source of delight for them. Even though it has been updated to work with modern gaming platforms, the game still has the same nostalgic feel, which contributes to its overall appeal. In spite of this, it is rather misleading to refer to this as a remaster since the bulk of the game's functional components are still the same as they were in the original version. The new features and rebuilt areas of the game are virtually totally unplayable owing to issues. It is true that the additional map choices for Hero Assault mode are incredible when they function as intended. However, this is not always the case. It is a pleasant surprise to be able to play this mode, which was previously restricted to Mos Eisley, without experiencing an excessive amount of monotony. While you are playing on these maps and switching characters, there is now a problem that arises. We apologize for the inconvenience. Performing a complete restart of the game is the only option to resolve the issue. This revised collection's 64-player lobbies, which are comparable to those of modern Star Wars Battlefront games, were a feature that helped the collection be successful in the marketplace. It is unfortunate that the servers were plagued with a variety of issues very immediately after they were made available to the public. These issues included crashes, difficulties with spawning, and a lack of open lobbies. As a result of all of these factors, the massive online multiplayer option has been put on hold until the solutions to the issues are implemented. Please know that Asper has recognized these difficulties and is actively trying to find solutions for those individuals who purchased this game at the time of its debut but are still unable to play it. Even if there are some regretful concerns over some of the new features, there is no doubt that a certain audience will find something in this that they like. In the event that you have missed the games but are unable to see them for whatever reason, here is a wonderful chance for you to watch them again. The chaotic delight of vanquishing enemies in a galaxy far, far away is captured in the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection, which brings back memories for those who were unable to experience it. Aside from the issues, which will most likely be rectified in future updates, Hero Mode provides a plethora of new features that will excite long-standing fans. One example of this is the addition of new characters to Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection, each of whom has their own unique playstyle. As a result of the move to modern platforms, the capability to personalize the layout of a controller and add components that are unique to gaming has evolved. The incorporation of such minute features helps to partially compensate for more subtle enhancements, such as altered visuals that are supposed to fit in with the style of the original games. The awards are yet another distinguishing element. They commemorate a number of deep cuts from the whole Star Wars world, in addition to the game itself. Even if the gameplay itself does not rely on these subtle connections to the series, the fact that effort was taken to integrate them promotes a real regard for the source content. The well-known clone slogan from the Clone Wars cartoon series, "Good soldiers follow orders," or the heavily memed sentence, "just like the simulations," from the first Star Wars Battlefront 2, are two examples of such phrases. Due to the fact that two of the games included in the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection were first launched in the early 2000s, a great deal of new Star Wars content has been released since then, rendering the missions in these games obsolete. It does make it more difficult to become absorbed in the story, despite the fact that it does not decrease the pleasure of the gameplay. This is in contrast to what has subsequently been regarded as canon in the Star Wars canon. For example, the 501st Legion of Clone Troopers, which is the central focus of the Battlefront 2 campaign, gives the impression that the clones were aware from the beginning that they would betray the Jedi. However, viewers who have watched the Clone Wars series for a long time would realize that this assertion is no longer accurate. With that being stated, there is a great deal of enjoyment to be had by those who are willing to appreciate this for what it is and not as a part of the canon of modern Star Wars. There is something about the chaotic environment that contributes to the pleasure and absurdity of the experience. And even while the mechanics are not as exact as they are in other first-person shooter games, the campaigns themselves continue to be entertaining. This compilation begins to sound a lot like something that might be found in Gary's Mod when you take into consideration the humorous fact that the upbeat Cantina Band music from A New Hope plays regardless of whatever map is chosen in Hero Assault mode. Overall, the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection is off to a horrible start that cannot be fixed by nostalgia. Taking into consideration the fact that you can play more recent Battlefront games rather than the classic titles, it is difficult to recommend this to anybody else. According to the current state of affairs, it is recommended that even those players refrain from thinking about this collection until the issues have been resolved. Despite the fact that Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection does not support cross-platform play, it is likely that it will be difficult to fill these 64-player lobbies a few weeks after the game's release. This is true, even if the game does not have any current problems. However, it is instantly evident that some of the game's features were not meant to be included and that other additions, such as an online multiplayer Galactic Conquest mode, may have enhanced the experience. This is the case, even if the new aspects are thrilling. In conclusion, the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection is a delightful excursion down memory lane. Nevertheless, after the first surge of nostalgia subsides, the game's popularity is likely to decrease. This is the case even if all of the players' grievances are resolved. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more content like this. Make sure to turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Just click the bell icon right next to the subscribe button.